Colin Pinhead. Welcome to Murphy.
Welcome to Back to Doom.
Yeah, back to Doom. Following society's impending doom, we're playing Doom. It's a 2020 thematic episode.
Now it's been a while since we've gotten together, which means one big thing. I have no idea what we're doing or what we were doing before.
Oh, it's been a minute, man. I have no idea what's going on in this game, to be honest with you. I can rest in solace knowing that whatever it is, we're just shooting things in the face, which is the way that Mother Nature truly intended. So it just gives me solace. And I'm also happy to announce that we are now the latest partners with Machinima. David, aren't you excited? We're with Machinima. For those of you
Welcome
listening,
back to Murphy.
right before the camera, we were just talking about like on YouTube channels we watch or places we get our news from for gaming and stuff. And David said how much he couldn't stand Machinima back in the day, and I was like, man,
no, just more like I would follow IGN, which is in my opinion super reliable. When back in the day, as an entertainment source, Machinima was okay. But as a news outlet, it was not.
Right. I just remember I would, my brother, he hated IGN, but like one of my favorite people on the internet worked there. And that's where like they had a Podcast Beyond back in the day, like their PlayStation podcast was my jam. So he would always say, you can't spell ignorant without IGN. He had this one quippy one-liner he would hold on to, and so it held so much weight.
Never let it go.
Yeah, exactly. The ironic thing was he was rather ignorant about the ignorant... Okay, yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Thanks, Alice.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. And the reason why we had to hold up was because I'll just say I had to be in quarantine. I did not have the Rovidia, but I was around someone who did. And so just for safety's sake, we were going to record over the interwebs. But I was rather salty because and this is going to sound like such a first world problem. So I'm just going to preface it. I'm going to acknowledge it is because I'm going to sound like a douchebag as soon as I complain about it. I had the PS5 and I thought it was going to work with SharePlay with the PS4, but it doesn't for some reason, even though I thought I read on the internet that it would. And it would make the most logical sense that it would. But again,
there are worse things.
I sound like a doofus for complaining, so I'm just going to shut my mouth. Because I know I shouldn't even have one in the first place. So there it is. And with that...
How's your PS5? Let's talk about that.
You know, it's the best Blu-ray player I've ever had.
No, you're thinking of the PlayStation 3. Come on now.
Ew. That was back when that was a big deal. You know, that because at the time, did you know that actually was the cheapest Blu-ray player on the market? Was a PS3, and that came out at $600.
And it still works. Like, I still use mine. Lauren and I both use that to watch movies at night all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an impressive... You know, honestly, man, like, that's... Like, people...
That's better than the PlayStation 5. Stick with that.
Well, no, like, the thing is with the PS3 back in the day, and I'll get to my PS5 thing in a second, because I'm definitely not... I definitely do want to talk about it. The thing is with the PS3 was it really bit the bullet to have the Blu-ray player in there day one because they thought that was going to be a huge deal to people, and like to some people it was, but they lost millions of dollars. Definitely not feeling bad for them because they are what the kids call rich, but anyway, yeah. So
but only the kids.
Only the children. People under a certain age demographic. We sound so cool. No, PS5 is awesome. It really is. It's everything I was hoping for and more. It's my favorite. Definitely like the best launch lineup there's been, but I'm glad that they're still playable on the PS4 and everything too, because like Miles Morales, I got the platinum the first weekend I had it, which is when you get. If you don't know what the platinum trophy is, I don't know what you're doing at this channel because gaming, but that means I 100%ed everything. I beat the campaign twice. I 100% the open world. Like, I went hard in that game.
And you're probably thinking, wow, Sean has no life. Remember, he was in quarantine, and yes, he has no life. So,
I was in quarantine, and I have no life. So, yeah, that game's awesome. Absolutely. Like, just all around, like, I still want to get Sackboy's Big Adventure. That's definitely one I want to play. But, like, the cool thing is even PS4 games are seeing an improvement from the new consoles, too. Like, did you play Ghost of Tsushima?
yes, Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima.
I just bowed. And I am... Yeah. I'm white.
I think of that, that, like, flute, or, like, the recorder, the flute that he carries in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I think of that sound sometimes to help me poop. Anyway, so...
You mean you don't think of let it poop, let it poop?
Alright, to go down another rabbit hole, there was a time when, David and I, in his year of bachelorness, and just my year of existence, when we lived together, I was pooping. There's no other way to put it. As we're putting it out on Front Street, not being the poop. Don't worry, we flush. We here at Murphy and have a strict flushing policy. Anywho, I was on YouTube and I just looked up poop music. For some reason, I wanted as a joke to have like ambient music in the background, and the first thing I saw was a Frozen parody of Let It Go that said, "Let me poop." And it was a little child singing, "Let me poop, let me poop." You can find it yourself. I mean, don't leave this video for it. It's definitely not worth that.
That's debatable.
That's a valid point.
Sean, I think, acknowledges the, like, so bad it's good kind of thing, and just like, yeah, this is terrible. I think it's some artwork. I think Weird Al has some competition.
Yeah, I think, in fact, the reason why we partnered with Machinima was to get their resources so we could do a deep dive podcast about this song specifically. And that will be this channel from now on.
Murphy is not actually partnered with Machinima.
I think
Murphy was filmed before a live studio audience.
Murphy was Rhodey. It's just a Bill Cosby sitcom, but without the allegations.
I think I'm supposed to get there. See how I just skipped over that one?
Oh yeah.
I think I'm supposed to get there, but I don't know. Oh, I think I need her hand.
Touch ID, am I right?
Yeah, she's been disarmed.
Literally.
Right. Yeah, Doom.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. It runs at 60 frames per second on the PS5, which it just looks insane. The game was already beautiful, but now it like runs better and everything, and it gives you the a lot of the games give you the option to either boost like the resolution and the graphics or the performance and the frame rate. And as someone that like once you play Spider-Man, it's like you can swing around, and if you have all the fancy bells and whistles turned on, and you can see all the as a demon's fetus is exploding or whatever that was.
I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. That's basically what it was. That's what just happened there.
Listen, if you're putting sugar on that, I want to know what you're doing with sugar because that's personally I'd save that for something a little more savory. Um, and now I've almost completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I know what I was saying. You could swing around Spider-Man with all the beautiful resolution stuff, the reflections, the bells and whistles and everything. But like playing Miles Morales with that super snappy 60 frames per second, like it just feels buttery smooth. Like the way Aunt Jemima intended. So overall, definitely having a lot of fun with it. If it wasn't backwards compatible, I'd be going crazy because, still, like, PS4 games still coming out. Like, I still want to play Cyberpunk when that comes out and things like that. But, overall, I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it, for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure.
Well, I'm glad, and I won't be salty. Because truthfully, I'm not. I can't say that my wife isn't, but, I'm happy you got one, and I'm happy you're having a good time. And,
Right. Well, like, it's not like I'm, like, one of those people that... I've kept it pretty close to my chest that I have a PS5. Like, the only people that know are, like, my family and, like, my friends that see me online. But I'm not one of those people that, like, feels the need to flex that I have a PlayStation 5. I got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. Meaning I stabbed somebody. But ultimately, if that's what you got to do, that's
small risk for something like that.
I'm glad you see it the way I see it. Now, David, I have a question.
I have an answer.
Do you know where you're going?
No. The fetus thing you were just talking about.
The fetus deletus?
It's like a demon spawner. Mm-hmm. I don't know the proper term for it. It's definitely not
Karen.
It's definitely not the demon fetus or anything like that.
The Karen.
It might. Let's call it the Karen.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Karen.
You're supposed to find 4 of those and destroy them. Mm-hmm. That was the 4th one. And I do have a map.
I'll be honest. Those things. Oh yeah, I do have a map.
It's just I need to call up Dora the Explorer because I don't know how to use it.
Let's call Dora the Explorer and speak to her manager because we're going to keep that Karen energy going.
I think we're supposed to go to the giant freaking corridor we were in 5 ever ago. I just don't know how to get back there.
That just sounded like something Dr. Evil would say. We got to go to the
giant... go back to the freaking...
giant freaking corridor that we were just freaking in. Freaking laser beams out of their freaking heads. So speaking of Dr. Evil, Christmas season's in the air, David. And I want to ask, because I'm genuinely curious. I just want to, first of all, I want to see how many topics we can shove into one episode.
6.
No, 5. Take it or leave it.
Okay. 5.
4!
You're thinking of 2 totally different episodes too.
I'm definitely on the one where it's where they're on the deck, on the poop deck, getting the wishes from.
Yeah, because there's. So this will be another topic, I guess.
Yeah. I guess now it's 6.
There's an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick are with the Flying Dutchman, and that's the.
Welcome back.
I'm giving you guys
3 wishes.
3 wishes.
I think it started with 5.
No, he goes, you guys have 3 wishes, and he goes, how about 5? And then he's like, 4, 3, take it or leave it.
That's right, yep.
Okay, 3. And then there's the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which is a classic, by the way, where...
should have been an Academy Award winning
You need
film.
to go get my crown in 10 days. He could do it in 9, 8, 7, 6. And then they all tackle him.
And then he goes,
and then they're just like,
5!
6 days it is then. 5. Patrick, shush. We're back on track. All right.
Thinning!
Christmas.
When I think of Christmas, the first thing there's 2 things that pop in my head right away. because to me, Christmas isn't just a day. Christmas is a season, you know, and you know, if you don't celebrate Christmas, totally okay. Just know we're gonna talk about it for a minute because we do, and that's totally okay.
You'll hear my opinion about Christmas in a second.
Christmas. You know, I think of Christmas as a season, and I think to me, I grew up in a household where my mom would turn on Christmas music on the night of Halloween because like our local radio station would play Christmas music starting Halloween, and so then to me that's like the start of the holidays. The beginning of the holiday season to me is the beginning of the Christmas season. To me, Christmas officially begins on Thanksgiving, because when the second Santa is in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is really just some homeless guy on 5th that they find wearing a suit, probably. That's when Christmas begins. And to me, I go to two things. Christmas music, which is objectively bad unless you're Mariah Carey, apparently. That's just something that we as society...
I would argue it's objectively bad because of Mariah Carey.
I'm not going to completely disagree. However, if you only could see the look that your wife was giving, I wish that was something people at home could see. Maybe when we get the proper video equipment and when Machinima gives us a bigger budget, it's something that we can do. Again, Machinima is not real. That is a figment of our imaginations now.
Morphine is not actually partnered with Machinima.
Machinima is not partnered with Morphine. They don't have the money.
We have more money than Machinima does.
All this to say, the second thing I think of is Christmas movies. And my question to you, if you could only have a few, like let's say you could only have like 3 Christmas movies, you can only watch 3 a Christmas season, 3 or 5. Like these are the ones that I have to watch. Which ones are you going to go to? And there's a lot of routes you could go.
Die Hard, and...
I should have seen that come. Can I admit something? And I feel genuinely bad about this. Never seen Die Hard.
Well, we're having a movie night.
Yep.
Where,
well, guys, Murphy, have a good night.
See you guys. I have Die Hard on the shelf. We haven't watched the pirate movie yet, so we have a couple things we got to do.
Oh, I forgot about the pirate movie.
My wife's over there thinking, how dare you forget about the pirate movie?
It's the Die Hard of low-budget 60s musicals that inspired Princess Bride. That looks worse than the... Okay, anywho. So, for you, if you had to list, like, quintessential Christmas movies, where does your head go? I have strong opinions.
A lot of people would do I like the classics. I like watching Home Alone and A Christmas Story, and like Rudolph and Peanuts and all that stuff. And in my mind, I'm not a Debbie Downer when it comes to Christmas. I just have a rocky relationship with Christmas, especially Christmas music.
Right.
Because being a band kid when I was in high school, what would happen is the school year would start, we would do marching band music.
Yep.
Because, football's happening.
Yep.
And then immediately once football's over, which most of the time was not even before Halloween, which is my favorite holiday, we would start playing Christmas music.
Right.
And that would be our life every day for an hour, or in my case, 2 or 3 hours, playing Christmas music for like 3 months.
So for you, it became
something... Me, playing Christmas music is borderline torture to me, because I've heard every song a million times. I know how to play every song on the instruments I know how to play. And so, and that bugs my wife, because it's her favorite holiday, and she gets so cheery and loves the music and loves the culture and decorating our home, which we are in right now.
It's honestly like if Cindy Lou Who grew up and married the Grinch's son. It's honestly what it feels like. Not saying you're the Grinch or you're a grouchy.
Oh, no, a little bit. Because one of the 3 movies would be Jim Carrey's Grinch.
That
because
is...
I identify with the Grinch in so many ways in that movie.
What would I wear? That... Okay, but that has to be on my list too. I haven't seen that movie in a few years, to be honest.
We will watch that, Die Hard, and a pirate movie pretty soon, because I
Listen,
also own that one.
I grew up on the Jim Carrey's Grinch. Like, I would watch it like twice a day some Christmas seasons. So I have seen it aplenty. But what would I wear? Like I said, I quote that movie, man. Except I've only quoted one line. But... All right, so it starts with the Grinch. We agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, I have a particular taste when it comes to movies.
Yep.
And it's very much like action or comedy. Like,
right.
Horror movies are great, but there's only like 2 horror movies that are Christmas movies that I can think of.
Can I also point out...
And only one of them's good.
I also point out the objective comedic reality that I just realized, where we're talking about Christmas as we're just trying to shoot as many things in the face as humanly possible.
And like, the season to be killing.
Fa la 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 la, die die die. Alright, so Grinch.
And so for Christmas movies, because action movies don't really, unless you're watching the Arnold Schwarzenegger, I forget what the movie's called. Anyways,
Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, there's an Arnie movie that's a Christmas movie, and it's like a B movie. Like, it's
right.
fun, but it's not very good. I don't actually consider Die Hard a Christmas movie. I joke about that.
Right.
I don't actually consider it. It just takes place on Christmas.
Right. Which, if you do watch it for Christmas, nothing wrong with that. You do you.
You watch that and Lethal Weapon, but it's not Christmas movies in the way that Home Alone is.
Right.
But to me, my 3 movies, because I like comedies a lot, are Jim Carrey's Grinch,
mm-hmm.
Elf with Will Ferrell,
mm-hmm.
and The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, which all 3 of them are great, but in terms of like good reception from fans and stuff, the original's considered to be the best one.
I watched those movies again last year, the Santa Claus movies starring Tim Allen, and oh man, I forgot so much about those films. I forgot so much. For one, the first movie feels radically different than the second two, than 2 and 3 do. Radically different. Because the first one is just this like, what? I'm Santa? And then the second and third ones just get far, like, they feel far more animated. And I'm not saying that as like a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just like, I forgot like that they're even related, it feels like at times. Because they just feel different. Which part of that's technology. Part of that is, okay, like, you gotta change it up if he's actually gonna be in the North Pole. Makes sense. All that stuff. But I still stand by it, doggone it. It just felt weird.
I won't disagree with that. But those are my quintessential 3.
Those are good. Those are good. Our quintessential 3 do not look very different. I'm going to give an honorable mention, since we share 2 of them. I'm going to give an honorable mention to The Polar Express, because it's objectively an amazing movie. If
the animation is creepy at times.
Yeah, and even if Tom Hanks screaming at me about hot chocolate can fill my nightmares for a long time, and how I get creeped out that my dad looks like that one kid that's like, do you know what you're going to ask for Santa for your present? Like that looks like what my dad
That is
looks
so
like.
true, too.
That looks like my dad.
Oh, shoot.
I just can't unsee that, so there's just an abject horror that film gives me every Christmas. It's the one sappy Christmas movie I love to watch, because, you gotta have at least one in there, because, it is an emotional holiday. But I would say I would say The Grinch, Jim Carrey's The Grinch is one of the funniest movies, but also probably the best take on an old holiday classic adaptation. I would say Elf is probably the best modern day Christmas movie made. Just Will Ferrell.
Even though it's almost 20 years old at this point.
Which makes me feel old as heck that I saw that in theaters as a little kid. Well, they just don't make Christmas movies anymore. Well, they do, but it's on Hallmark.
Yeah.
They
talk about that.
Which I'm not here to hurt feelings. I'm not out for blood, but I think we can. There has objectively been a decrease in budget in Christmas movies, which means in certain cases they just don't make them as good as they used to. That's just the way it is. That's, to quote a great Jim Carrey film, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
I love The Mask.
Anyway. But to me, my third would be Home Alone. Which to me mixes the best qualities of a lot of those movies. I watched those movies again last year too. If you couldn't tell, I was really in a Christmas movie mood last year. That and I got Disney Plus. That was really it. I just got Disney Plus. I forgot how funny those movies were, and there's a lot of things that like you miss when you're a kid that just get funnier, like when he goes into his older brother's room and sees all the stuff in there, and then just all of the, just everything about that movie, and like it becomes more relatable too when you're older, because I totally wanted to be that kid at one point. Just a great Christmas movie. Also, shout out to Home Alone 3, just for the meme, because that film exists, and we need to acknowledge it. There's also a Home Alone 4.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. There's also an Ace Ventura Jr. We don't have to talk about that either.
There's also a Masked Jr.
A Son of the Mask.
Oh, Son of the Mask, that's right.
Come on, if you're going to bash on movies, get the names right.
I think I'm okay with still bashing that movie.
Well, we'll finish talking to Olivia here. And then, do you want to continue our convo on the next episode?
Oh yeah, we're definitely continuing that convo. I'm out for blood on some old Christmas movies, and I'm ready.
We're also finally making progression in this game, seeing as I ran in circles for a good 20 minutes.
Hey,
there.
Any progress we cannot bash because the Crash Bandicoot series exists.
That's true.
Wow.
I won't point fingers, but we got some improvements to make. Well, we'll see y'all next time.
On Machinima sponsored Murphy.
Once again, Machinima is not actually partnered with Murphy.